Got it.
All right, hello. This is High Vibe Tribe TV, and I think we're on episode 21. And today I have Adam Wagener. Is that how you say your name?
Yes, you got it.
Even though it looks like Wagener.
I was thinking about changing it actually. My girl and I were just saying maybe take out the middle E, and then I'm like, no, then I got to change all my videos, and people are going to be confused.
Well, that's your name. Just use it. Anyway, I could think of worse things to be called than Adam Wagener, but
I don't
uh,
like working for an hourly wage. That's why I started my YouTube channel.
yeah, but you can make the maximum wage. It doesn't necessarily mean you can make $1 million an hour. It's still technically a wage, but
I guess so.
a worthy one. Anyway, Adam is the host of My Spirit Lives On, and where he talks about near death experiences and verified NDE stories, out of body and remote viewing interviews, expert conversation with doctors and researchers on science of consciousness, as well as genuine spiritual awakening experiences that challenges everything we think we know. And to be honest, this is kind of a universal thing. Everybody wonders what the hell happens when we die, right? Every religion is based around thinking they have the right answers about how this actually goes down once our spirit leaves this. What a lot of people now are calling meat suits.
The meat sack.
Yeah. So, Adam, how in the world did you ever get into this? This like podcasters usually have a more varied subject matter. Like I'm a pretty much everything but the kitchen sink type of podcast where, hey, if it sounds interesting, I don't care what it is, I'll just throw it on there. That's pretty specific. What got you into this specific subject?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I had to pick a niche, but it was definitely a niche that I was fascinated by. And the reason I was fascinated in near-death experiences actually goes back a few years. So, long story, interesting, I guess. It's pretty darn interesting. I was a struggling wannabe actor in Los Angeles about 13 years ago. I had what I call my rideshare to riches journey. So, and I mean, riches is relative. I'm not a multi-millionaire or anything like that, but I'm doing okay. And struggling actor, and I was actually really frustrated with my life. And I just prayed a prayer one night, and God basically answered my prayer because in a week I talked to a friend, and he's like, "Don't go waiting tables if you want to be an actor," which is the trope. All actors are waiting tables. He said, "Go do this new thing called Uber," and then there was also Lyft, the pink mustache. And
Yeah.
so I went to apply for that, but my car was 1 year too old to qualify. So I actually threw up another prayer, and then I was like so nervous, and the mechanic passed me anyways, inspected my car, and the money was so good, I just drove my tail off doing rideshare. So saved up a bunch of money doing rideshare, saved up like 10 grand, got a new vehicle, a fuel efficient car. And then I moved. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time and I got a call from my mom and dad. And they said, "Do you want to moved to Utah where we have an old family property and it's in disrepair. It needs a lot of fixing up. Taxes are overdue." And I talked to my girlfriend and I said, "I got 10 grand saved. We could go fix up this building and move out of LA." And that was a big decision, but we did that. And she's significant to the story. So that's why I'm including all that.
Ah, okay.
But we come out here. Now my girlfriend is my best friend, my business partner doing Airbnb and whatnot, fixing up the property, and my lover. So my romance partner, my best friend, and my business partner. And after 5 years of doing it, we got a little frustrated with each other at times. And she was missing home with her family in Georgia. Her parents were aging. She wanted to go take care of her family. And we decided to break up. And that was whammy number one. So it was like really devastating. 2 days, I was rock solid for 2 days. And then I was starting to get really depressed. Now, whammy number two happened when I got on the dating apps, and I was really foolish because I should have done something like Match.com and paid the money, but I tried the free ones like Bumble or Tinder. I stayed off of Tinder as long as I could. Then, against my own gut feeling, I went on Tinder, and sure enough, a really sophisticated scammer cleaned out my bank account
Oh no.
after. Yeah, there's a whole video just on that on my other YouTube channel called the KU coin scam. And anyways, so now I've lost my love of my life. I've lost my bank account, and I'm not in love with the scammer, of course, because that was a fictitious, person, or they're a real person, but they had a whole fake website design. They really work. They had a fake customer service department. It was incredible. So,
Wow.
yeah, so lost my love, lost my money. And then the third whammy was I got escorted out of a church by police officers. I was going to a church the next town over. It was kind of the trendy church. It was like the most populated church, so there was people my age, a lot of elderly people in the area. But I had a good time. I thought like I was friends with everyone there, and I don't want to get into why I was asked to leave, but because I
That would
tell
be
that
the best
story.
part.
Okay, then I'll tell you. So, it's not what's the word I'm looking for? Not horrific, but it's just kind of like sobering and it's like just weird. So, still single. So, broke up with the lady, got scammed out of my life savings. Then the pastor's daughter, I saw her at a Bible study. She gave me her number and gave me a ride in her car. And I didn't know this at first, but she was going through drug addiction, and I'm not naming any names, but basically, one day I called the pastor, said, "Could I have permission to date your daughter?" And he said, "Actually, you don't know this, but she's in drug rehab right now called the Dream Center down in Arizona. So she needs time to do that. And even then, I think she's going to need time." So polite answer is no. I said, "Well, who's this drug dealer? Did we catch the guy?" He's like, "No, he was in our home. We invited him to church. We're trying to show him love. So we didn't turn him in or anything like that." I said, "Oh, okay, like not the decision I would make, but okay, have a nice day." Click. Then a couple of weeks later, I'm at church. I pull into the parking lot. Everyone inside the church is crying. I could hear the wailing out in my car. And in my gut, I just knew that the girl that I liked, had died. And I go to the usher. I'm like, "Did so and so just die?" He's like, "How did you know?" I said, "Just intuition, my gut feeling, or the spirit told me, whatever." So emotions are all over the place that day at church. People are crying. I don't even think we had a regular service. It was just some music and it's just a lot of tears and frustration. And I was numb at the time and I didn't know her that well, but I came home and all of a sudden I'm just filled with fury and just anger. And I don't know what it is, if there's evil spirits in my basement that are trying to get into my brain sometimes, but I was just so angry. I texted the pastor something sort of true but also very hurtful, and I told him, "It's your fault your daughter died because you could have turned in the drug dealer and you didn't do it." What happened was that woman left the rehab center, went AWOL, and hooked up with the drug dealer one last time and had a party, like one last hurrah, and that's when she OD'd. So I forgot to include that in the story. So
Yikes.
so it's kind of the drug dealer's fault, but I blame the pastor for not turning in the drug dealer. And then the next time I went in there to apologize to him face to face, I didn't get that opportunity. I was escorted out by the police. So now,
Apparently, he
sure,
didn't
that's
like that.
whammy number three. Yeah, people don't like being lambasted like that for something that's kind of out of their control. And I realized when I'm angry, I'm stupid. So when you're angry, you make really bad decisions. And well, that's a whole nother topic, but basically that was whammy number three. So got scammed, broke up with my lady, not in that order, and then lost a whole circle of friends. So I come home and I am now suicidally depressed because the sadness, the negative events were building up. And I said, "This is just a midlife crisis. I guess everybody gets one of these sooner or later. Like this is a midlife crisis. I guess I'm going through it." And I had I'm a gun owner, and I was like, "Will I be using that gun on myself?" And just all these crazy thoughts. And then one day I'm at a Mormon church, and I'm not Mormon, but I just wanted to go hear some like happy songs and meet new people, and maybe they're having a barbecue or something. And my first visit there, a man I don't know turns around at the end and he goes, "I know I don't know you, but there's a book I think you should get and read called Return from Tomorrow by George Ritchie." And that's one of the very first documented NDE stories ever. Have you heard of that one?
No.
Return from Tomorrow. Yeah, so that book changed my life. That got me started on the journey. So he was a World War II. The author was a World War II veteran. He got pneumonia. He was a doctor actually. So ironically, he got pneumonia, and then he slipped out of his body while he was in sick bay. He met Jesus. Jesus takes him on a tour around planet Earth. This is all by George Ritchie in the book Return from Tomorrow. And I think chapter 8 was on suicide. And when I read the suicide chapter and I saw what happens to people that commit suicide, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I always thought they'd just go straight to hell, but that wasn't what happens. But I'm like, well, that's really bad. I don't want that to happen to my soul anyways. So I'm definitely not going to kill myself, but I'm still super depressed. And then there's a fourth whammy in the story. So I have my Airbnb business going. And I'm at least starting to like watch NDE stories and I'm binging them because it's comfort. Like I watched like 30 or 40 NDEs. I almost have my own NDE. Maybe there's five total whammies here. Yeah, so this gets really interesting. So they say you attract what you think about, right? You attract what you focus on. So I've been focusing on watching a lot of near-death stories and I'm like actually taking notes and I'm like getting favorites, like favorite people that I'm really interested in. And then one day I'm swimming in a river out here in southern Utah. So we have Zion Canyon, which is like the number two most popular national park. It's way up there. And there's a river called the Virgin River, and the Virgin River is in a slot canyon. So it's really kind of tight walls in places, and there's water rushing down. It's beautiful. It's one of the most epic hikes anyone could ever do. Anyhow, there's a swimming hole, one of my favorite places to swim in that river. And so I was taking a day off to go hike and be in nature, and it's a bit therapeutic. But the water was melting out of the mountains. So the Colorado or river, or anyways, the snow melt comes down into that river. And the water flow is like double or triple what it normally is. And there was a sign on the trail that said, do not hike in the river past this sign. And I still remember that very clearly. And my favorite swimming hole was just before the sign. So I'm like, well, I'm not breaking any rules. I'm jumping in. I'm going to play. I was a lifeguard. I was on swim team. Like, no problem. I got this. So while I'm swimming, and they say you attract what you focus on. I'm in this giant whirlpool and like the current just pushes me down the river and I have my shoes on and I fall into a pocket. I go down one pocket and I pop up. I'm like, whoa, this is kind of fun. And I come down the river to the second pocket and there's a giant log that's like stuck just under the water and the log was pinned between two rocks. And that log slams up against my chest and now I'm suddenly about to have my own near-death experience. And the water was like just barely and 2 inches over my head. Like I could feel the air. And I got 30 seconds. I got lungs full of oxygen, but I only had 30 seconds and roughly. And I'm trying to push up to get over this log. And I'm like, what? You get all these crazy, stupid thoughts when you're right about to die sometimes. I'm like, I'm not going to say goodbye to my family. I thought I was stronger than this. I used to work for Gold's Gym. Why can't I get, I mean, I'm not the toughest guy, but I was on swim teams. I'm like, why can't I get over this log? And then I exhale and I'm right about to suck in water. And a voice speaks into the side of my brain. I remember it's still like the left side, like almost like somebody was there underwater with me and they were talking in my ear and they said, why don't you just go under the log? And I knew I wasn't thinking it because I heard a voice. So I was like, I guess it's a guardian angel or whatever, God, but I just like slipped under the log and that was the secret because I couldn't get over it. The water pressure was too massive, but sliding under it was the way out. So I kind of had like, I guess you'd say a technical near death because my spirit didn't leave my body. And then I came up and I'm like, I guess I should, if you attract what you think about and focus on, I should start watching YouTube videos of people who won the lottery because I
Yeah, for sure.
watched all these NDE videos and now I almost died. So anyways, now that was like interesting. That was like a fourth event. And the fifth event, it was so gnarly. That's what really got me started. Because I was already thinking about it. I really thought about starting an NDE channel over a year ago, and I didn't do it. And it's just, you get negative thoughts like, oh, there's too many already. You just be the 10th channel out there. No one's going to care. So just like little things that stop you from even taking the first step, like that kind of stuff. And I had a fifth whammy. Like this was gnarly. I had an Airbnb guest check in. I kid you not, with like an I love Jesus t-shirt on, and things got wild. She was traveling with her sister, and I think they were like in their 50s, so it might have been like a I don't know, like a menopause ladies trip. Like let's just go like see the world a little bit. I don't know what was going on, but one of them got furious with me after they checked out. That's why I said menopause. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but like one of them broke the glass slide door on the property and it was an accident. I knew it was an accident. I wasn't here, but my mother was visiting for her birthday. My mother saw it and it turned into a whole like just cluster or fustercluck, I should say, where I had to file a claim. And I told the woman, just say it was an accident. It was really an accident. Airbnb, they've got money. And, it's, anyways, it was just like a weird thing where she gets a charge for $5,000. She lies about it and says it was broken before she got here. So then I get a call from Airbnb. Are you committing fraud? You've been with us for 10 years. What's going on? I said, I've tried to be good all the time. Like I wasn't fraud. And my mom saw it, and Airbnb's like, we don't want to talk to your mom. We want to only talk to you. You're the host. I said,
Oh my God.
well, my mom saw it. And then my mom says, look, they signed in the guest book. We're sorry about breaking your door. In their own handwriting, one of the ladies apologized. So I
Wow,
sent a
really?
picture of that to Airbnb. And then Airbnb basically said, okay, we'll cover the door. But now my guest was furious. And the guest told Airbnb that I was racist. And Airbnb believed her. And they just gave me the axe, just cut me right off. So there goes
Why was
I
she
broke up with
African American or something? Or
the guest. No,
yeah,
just a white chick,
how
just a
can you
white
be
chick.
racist against another white person?
She actually, what she did is she scoured my social media feed. She found me on social media and she found some spicy memes, like the Mexican guy, like, hey, let's talk about it. Like she just found any meme she could find that was
Wow,
maybe like race related, and she sent it in, and they totally just whoosh, gave me the axe. They thought I was too insensitive. So
wow,
yeah, so you gotta be careful with your memes, is the moral of the story. But
that's
so
crazy.
that's so
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I lost my lady. I've been single for several years at that point. Got scammed out of my bank account. Got kicked out of church, and then almost died. And then I lost my income stream. So at least I was making Airbnb. I was bouncing out of that financial rut because I could do Airbnb. Now I don't even have that, and I'm like, what the hell do I do? Like,
I
what
think they
is
call
going
that
on?
rock bottom.
It was rock. I was drowning in the river.
Yeah.
So this is the real impetus. I didn't really, I guess I had a choice, but I had to really just call a life mentor friend, my friend Vernon, and he said, you know, why don't you get back in your YouTube channel? Because I had a channel called Desert Hustle, which was like hiking in the desert and stuff you can do out here and fixing up my building. And I'm like, I'm not passionate about hiking in the desert anymore. I don't want to do that alone. I would remind me of missing my ex and all that. And my mentor goes, no, what else? What other topics are you really interested in? So, oh, I really like near-death experiences. Says you should do that. But there's already 10 channels. No, you need to establish your own unique voice because there's something valuable about that. And so, sure enough, it was the middle of January of this year. It was cold. It just didn't seem like a great time to start a YouTube channel, but I had nothing else to do. And I was kind of sad. And I just found a spark of light in me that just said, I'm going to do this. And so I emailed Aaron Green. Aaron Green is all over YouTube. He's got a channel, a really nice guy. He just said, "Sure, I'll talk to you." And I couldn't believe how engaging and interested and willing most of these people are. They're very kind, humble, genuine people, and they're not like, "Oh, I'm a celebrity. I'm too big to talk to you." No, they want to share their story.
How do you
And
find
so
these? How do you find these people?
good question. It started with emails. So I would watch the YouTube video, and if the contact info or website wasn't in the YouTube video of a pre-existing story, then I would just go to Grok, which is like ChatGPT, and I would just say, "Hey, what is the email contact for so and so who has an NDE on YouTube?" And Grok would be like, "Oh, they either don't have one or here it is."
Oh
And then I
wow.
would just try to email about 3 to 5 people every day. I've slowed down since then, but I would just email 3 to 5 and wait to see what responses came back. And almost everybody always showed up. I've only had like two no shows, and or three now, three no shows, but everybody's pretty humble and genuine and eager to share. And then it just kept going, going, going. I treated it like a full-time job and was averaging 100 new subscribers a month. That slowed down just a little bit, but I think I'm going to hit 1,000 definitely before the end of the year. And then I have a lady in my life now. Oh, this was super interesting tidbit of information. My mentor I called Vernon, he can kind of see the future sometimes. He's a really nice guy and he's got a gift. And he's like, so I said, what should I do with my life, like financially? So he said, get into YouTube. And I said, what should I do romantically? He's like, actually, I see you finding or meeting something's going to develop right around your birthday in June. And we're still in June. And sure enough, I've got like a really strong relationship right now with one of my biggest fans on the YouTube channel, who's also someone I've known for many years. And she's a sweetheart. So, and she's very private, so I don't think I'll say her first name, but
Nice.
she knows who she
Sounds
is.
like
Yeah,
things have picked up for you then.
big time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, looks like I'm looking here. You have like 119 videos, so that's a lot of people willing to share their experiences with you. Um, what would you say is like the most commonality of all this, and maybe share some of the things that differ? Do you like? It's one of those things. Do we all go through the same process when we, you know,
Yeah. Good.
transmogrify into the spiritual realm, or or is it like personal? Does our own expectations dictate what we're experiencing? Like,
Great question.
if you're a Christian, you're going to see Jesus. If you're a Buddhist, you're going to see Buddha. Or if you're just whatever breatharian, you're going to see a bunch of
Oh, wow.
swirling air or something. I don't know. Uh,
That's a great question. I mean, it's the answer is actually kind of both, and it's also that death is nonlinear. Obviously, the spirit lives on, or my spirit, your spirit will live on, like my show name. One of the most interesting things, I remember a man who got out of jail a long time ago, and he was starting a pizza shop, and somehow my dad was friends with this guy, and I remember we talked about death. And thanatology. Thanatology is the study of death and dying. And I actually took a class on that in high school. But anyways, I'm talking to this guy who's out of jail, pizza shop owner, and we talked about death, and he goes, death is very nonlinear. I'll just tell you that because if I remember correctly, he had an NDE while he was in jail. But anyways, that was the first time I'd ever heard death was nonlinear. Because growing up in church, you literally hear stuff like you die, then you go up or down, like you're a kindergartner, and there's only like two ways to go, and it's so much more than that. And there's what I'm finding is everyone's experience is unique, and there's always commonalities. So one major commonality is the void, like going into a dark space, like as dark as my t-shirt. And some say it feels velvety and like soft or peaceful. I think it really depends on the mental state of the person. There was one woman who, gosh, this is so interesting. So wait, before I get to the woman, there's the void is a commonality. The life review is a commonality. Dr. Eben Alexander, who is a Harvard-trained neurosurgeon, I love the way he phrased this. He said, the life review is really it's the golden rule woven into the fabric of the universe. So do unto others as you want them to do for you. That's what you're feeling when you're watching your life review and how you hurt others, you treat others. If you punch your little brother on the nose when you were 8 years old, you feel that punch on your nose in your spirit body. And people are like, what? What? Never heard of this before. The Bible says you die once and you get judged. Well, then we learn judgment isn't exactly what we think it is. That life review is where you're observing your life as your higher self, for lack of a better expression. You're there because your consciousness is there, but you see everything you did, the good and the bad. So the life review is a commonality. The void is a commonality. And then glimpses of heaven and hell are also commonalities. So this is where it gets dicey because some people insist that there is no hell. Other people insist that they absolutely saw it. I'm coming to the conclusion that hell exists as a psycho spiritual reality for certain people that just believe that that's where they're supposed to go. But then there's almost like a get out of hell free card for some of these people. Like I just interviewed the transgender guest, Kaylee Sweeney, and she was an Anglican priest who was struggling with the gender thing. And Kevin, became Kaylee and was kind enough to be on my channel this month. And Kaylee thought for sure that hell was where she was going. And instead, she had like a surprising, actually heavenly experience. And so then Christians will say, "Oh, you're just being led by a demon or something." I'm like, well, then no, go back to the whole logic issue. Like a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So if she had a heavenly experience, I'm believing she had the heavenly experience because if someone's going to hell in their NDE, there's no question about it. One guy thought he had friends, like as he's leaving his body, he's in a hallway, and he thought he had some friends at the end of the hallway, and like, come on over here, follow us. And then they turned into demons. Um, and I think people just they see different things that they need to see for
Mm.
their personal growth. Michelle Ledbetter, who her episode just came out the other day, she testifies about this, so this is public knowledge, but Michelle was abused as a child. And in her after her life review, she had like a second follow-up life review from the perspective of her abusers. So now she's watching the woman and the man that abused her when she was little. She's watching them as children in their lives and what they went through and the abuse they suffered. So now she's seeing how it's all a big cycle, which leads us into a third commonality, which is the ripple effect. And so you've got the void, the dark floaty space. You've got oh, and there's something I want to say about that. The dark floaty space, you've got the ripple effect, you've got the life review, and you've got your beliefs do dictate your future to a certain extent, but God is supreme and God can trump, for lack of a better word, your what you think is going to happen. There was a woman who I didn't interview her yet, but I saw her story. This is so interesting. She was an atheist all her life, and she never felt loved by a man all her life. And this woman, I forget her name, she goes into the void. Oh, before she goes into the void, before she died, she was praying to God that she doesn't believe in, like, dear God, please let me have a man love me for 1 year. I just want to know what it's like to be loved by a man. She threw out a year. She got an answer to her prayer in real life. And one day she meets a guy at a bar. They date for a whole year. After the year, I think they were back at that same bar where they met. They broke up. And on her drive home, she has the accident and dies. Exactly. She got exactly what she asked for in prayer.
Whoa.
And she's an atheist. Now she dies. She's in the void, the dark floaty space, like totally dark. And she's just got her consciousness. And she said she is thinking, where am I? What am I doing? And for some reason, she doesn't ask, where is God? She makes the statement, there is no God. And so she's confirming her atheism while she's in the void as just pure consciousness. And when she thinks that thought, this is where God gets God's way no matter what. She starts sinking through a tunnel of fire, and her spiritual skin is on fire. So she can feel like she's got a body. She's feeling feelings, and she's sinking through it. Feels like an eternal tunnel, and just she can't stand it. It's like this, like it feels like forever. And that's another concept that's really interesting is forever. But anyways, to wrap up her story, she says she called out for God. They say, okay, God, help me, please. Like then like now you know, like there's no atheists after an NDE. There isn't. If you have an NDE, you're coming back believing in a higher power is one of the common things. And so then she felt she's like an arrow of fire going through her heart, and she knew God was like penetrating her heart. I guess maybe kind of cleansing her consciousness. And then when she came back to Earth, she knew God was real. But yeah, it's fascinating. Everyone's experience is different, but they have similarities.
Wow, that's crazy. That's that
It's
that
so fascinating.
uh
I just want to talk to everyone. It's so
so
interesting.
what is the strangest way somebody's died that you've heard so far? Have there
Oh,
like
that's a great question.
I always think of that reference in Spinal Tap, the drummer died of a bizarre gardening accident. It's like
Oh yeah. There was that show on TV, A Thousand Ways to Die. It was really morbid and macabre, but like people just die in weird ways. Like one guy passed out and fell face first in a like a dish of dog food, and he choked on, suffocated on the dog food. It's like, God, that what embarrassing ways to die. That was
yeah, no
probably awful.
kidding. Might want to alter the
Yeah.
death certificate on that one.
Oh. Yeah. Let me think. I got to run through the list here. A lot of people dying from medical complications. It's not really interesting.
Well, that
Um,
makes sense since medical malpractice is rampant.
yeah, of all of my, yeah, it is rampant. That's the topic that comes up a little bit here and there with COVID vaccines. I call them the hokey pokey.
Well,
Give me a minute.
just in every possible way. Just surgeries gone wrong, lack of uh, proper preparation, sterilization, or just misdiagnosis. You know, that's very common.
Big time. I think the one that's coming to my mind right now, two. Okay, there's two of them actually. My friend Josh Foster. I was thinking of Jeff Olson at first and rolling his car, and then Jeff Olson had his two sons and his wife all in the car that rolled over several times down a Utah highway. And only one of his sons was alive at the time of the accident. So his youngest son died, Jeff died, and his wife at the time died. And while he and his wife are in spirit, she says, "You got to go back. You can't come to heaven." And like you're going to be missing a leg, but you've got to go back. We have one boy and we can't let him grow up alone. And so his wife in spirit is pleading with Jeff to go back.
Wow.
So that one is actually really darn interesting. But my buddy Josh Foster, he had the funniest one. He had an autoimmune problem and he had a doctor friend who suggested marijuana. And Josh grew up as a Baptist youth minister, really nice guy, salt of the earth guy, a lot of fun to hang out with. Love him. Like I just talked to him today on the phone. Josh wanted to cure this autoimmune thing, and his doctor friend says, "Try some weed." Josh's like, "I don't smoke weed, but I'll try eating it if that's a thing." And so the doctor said, "Yeah, let's go to Jamaica where the weed is plentiful, and I don't know, they mulch it with mangoes or something, and it's like Maui Wowie strain or whatever." So they go to Jamaica, and they're eating marijuana infused pancakes. Josh is a big dude. So he can eat a whole stack of pancakes. There was four marijuana pancakes on Josh's plate. There was four pancakes on the doctor's plate. The doctor only ate two. And Josh finished his four. And you know how weed takes a little while to kick in when you're eating it?
Yes.
So Josh finishes his stack. He's like, "I don't feel anything yet. Can I have your two pancakes?" And then Josh eats
Oh my
six
goodness.
marijuana
And
infused
nobody warned
pancakes.
him? Uh,
I mean, the doctor's right there, and Josh is like, I think he's probably around at least 200 pounds. He's like 6'1", and he's a little stocky. So I would think he could handle it if I was with him. I would be like, "Bro, let's go right back to the hotel so you can take a nap." Well, they went like cliff jumping, swimming at the beach, and then they go back to the hotel. And it actually wasn't the weed. So the weed gets a pass here. It was actually something else. Even though he's getting high, the effects are kicking in, which might have impaired his judgment as Josh bought some spray sunblock. And so now I guess this is the most interesting one. He looks at the label on the sunblock and he notices a warning said like this has a severe allergic reaction in like less than 2% of people or something. I don't know if how they tested it or whatever, but he said like small percentage of people could have a severe reaction. He sprays it on his face and he has the reaction to the sunblock.
oh.
And so now, long story short, he passes out on the bed. They call a medic. He's dying. He officially dies. And then his spirit leaves his body in this hotel, and he gets, oh, this is one of the other weird commonalities. He gets a spiritual gift or like a superpower, and he can hear everyone's conversation in the hotel. He knows the hotel owners struggling with like finances or something like that. He knows one room over, it's a couple on their honeymoon, and one room over, the guy's asking his lady to shave down there, for the honeymoon or something. And he knows all these weird, juicy details around the hotel. And then he meets Jesus, and he and Josh and Jesus have a conversation. Then he comes back into his body, and everyone's relieved. Even the chef that made the pancakes was nervous that he was going to get arrested for like, overdoing it or something. And so Josh comes back, and the next day he's like, "Yeah, I know what you told your wifey on your honeymoon night, and check with the hotel manager. How you doing? Is everything okay? And everyone can't believe it. Like, dude, how did this guy know what we're talking about?" So it validates that spiritual gifts or clairvoyance, like all these psychic powers, they're real things. And then it begs the question, why are we not tapping into them? But that's the most interesting story, in my opinion, to answer your question.
It also validates that sunscreen can kill you.
Yeah, medical mafia.
I've never heard of that one other than, carcinogens that may cause cancer. I'm surprised you had to go to all the way to Jamaica just to find some pot. That's like
I don't know
pot,
why
pot
they did that.
brownies are like a dime a dozen here in California.
Yeah, I think the doctor just really wanted a trip and he invited Josh to tag along, is what
Okay,
it
that's what
was.
it boiled down to.
The doctor's got money. He wants a trip to Jamaica, and Josh, yeah, just wanted to have some fun.
Hey,
So
I'd go to Jamaica too. I've never been there. Um, so that you mentioned that the going back to the guy who rolled the car and his wife was saying, "You got to go back. You got to take care of the kid." That's another thing I've always wondered about. How often do we actually have the choice to come back, and how often, like, you hear people say that you have to go back. It's not your time, and then you hear people talk about they had the choice because they had some unfinished business, and it would be easier to go back and finish it in this lifetime than to go through the whole reincarnation cycle and all the rigmarole of growing up and relearning and blah blah blah. It's amazing that you would get a choice at all. It's like, does that mean that the body is miraculously repaired, or is it something like the body was just uh, this little gray area between life and death, and that just you could just like give it a boost, like a jumper cable effect, spiritual world, and
a
then that
great
would
question.
revive it, or is there any,
Yeah.
or do you even have an answer for this?
Yeah, it's kind of a compound question, but it's a great question. And yes, the body can get miraculously repaired. I'll mention someone who did that. And then the other question was on the choice. Why do some people get to choose to stay in heaven, and why are some people forced to come back? And I also have on my channel, I have something called the Grayson scale. There's a psychiatrist from University of Virginia. He invented a 16 question test so the person can score their own NDE. And there's 16 questions you go through. And one of those is like, did you get to a point of no return? And you were allowed to go to heaven. It's just so interesting. So just what you were mentioning there. So Kai Funk, he goes by the name Royal Kai now. They call him the Miracle Man. He's one of my guests. I actually interviewed him on the day my laptop charger died. So we had our interview didn't get as much as I wanted to. But Kai had a motorcycle accident. He crashed face first into a roundabout, and his face was so torn up that while he was out of body, he was like telling God. A lot of people tell God or the angel or their family member that's guiding them. It's like they meet a great grandpa or something. They'll say you have to go back. You can't stay, even though they really, really want to. And people actually get a little angry because they're like, no, as they're going back to planet Earth, like they really want to stay in heaven because it feels that good.
Well, who wouldn't?
Uh, yeah, it feels that it's orgasmic actually. Bill Letzon's described as like honey getting all over his brain. More than one person has said it's better than any intimate night with your loved one. It's that good to be in the afterlife, which is actually, if I can make a quick tangent here, it's actually a good reason to live your life as well as you can and really follow that golden rule because you do not want to be going through a life review where you are getting back everything you dished out. But to get back to Kai Funk, he was talking with, it's Kai, last name Funk, Funk. He had a motorcycle crash, faces ripped open. They're like, you've never seen anything quite this bad. Such an interesting story. But while he's talking to God, he's like, God, if you send me back, you have to fix me up. I can't have a broken face. He's a handsome guy. Like he's got pretty good looks. And now his whole face is smashed to pieces.
Mm.
But he healed miraculously in like less than, I think, 3 months, if I remember correctly. So they call him the Miracle Man. But then the choice thing, to answer that question. So yes, the body can get healed miraculously. Um, but then on the choice issue, Reverend Bill McDonald, on my second interview with Reverend Bill, he's like in his 80s. He just turned 80, actually. Really sweet man. One of the nicest people I've ever met. And this gets into the topic of karma. And I'm going to ask your audience to keep an open mind on reincarnation, because actually reincarnation has been scientifically proven. So I kept a closed mind on reincarnation for a long time. Growing up in church, no, I never really, if that's a Hindu thing, that's a Buddha thing. but it's a Bible thing too. And that's, I can prove that. But long story short, Dr. Ian Stevenson proved reincarnation in the book Children Who Remember Previous Lives. We can get into
Hmm.
that too. But it's like if you have no karma left to work out, like Reverend Bill, he said, it's actually in the opening clip of my second episode with Reverend Bill, an angel talks to him. And the angel says, you're welcome to come on into heaven. Like, no, nothing more to work out. You're all set. If you want to come on to heaven. And while Bill is out of his body, um, and Bill is, I think he's like an interfaith kind of guy, but he was really big on India, and he was really big on going to see Babaji, one of the gurus. Babaji had a temple there. Such a beautiful end to East story. He's had three of them. But he's like one of those nicest guys that like he wouldn't. I mean, I guess he might swat a fly, but he's never going to hurt a human being, right? So, uh, and the angel told him, "You can just come on to heaven. You have no karma left to work out," which is a really important thing. And I'm still digging into this, but I developed this concept after talking to Aaron Green. I just call it karmic carryover. And you may have to come back and live another life. And this is a gray zone for me, but it's also where like God gets the final say. And there's so much to unpack here. Kaylee Sweeney has a chart. When you look at the interview with Kaylee, the transgender, there's a chart where there's like an in-between space between Earth and then heaven. Gabe Poirot is even talking about like three levels of heaven. The in-between has come up more than once, but Brian Duzak was one of my guests, and some of these souls are just going into this floaty in-between place. And I don't know if they're getting a life review there and they're consulting with angels. But Carrie Cohan, in her book Five Lessons of Life, she talks about how we choose these lives. This is one other common theme: is you actually pick this body, this family, the abuse, the suffering, the good stuff, the bad stuff. There's actually certain major life events that are going to happen in your life no matter what. And then there's a lot of little variation in between where you can like decide what you're having for breakfast, and that's not set in stone. But it's just so interesting that we could actually have to live out karma, and that golden rule, it's going to come back to haunt you if you've dished out a lot of pain and suffering. Just get ready, because that's a real thing. And then if I can elaborate on reincarnation, the Children Remember Previous Lives, everyone should really read this book. But I didn't believe it until someone said it was scientifically proven. And I'll wrap up the point after this. But basically, there is children in Africa, and they are reaching speaking age. And it's happened in other countries as well. Vinnie Tolman just told me it happened in the UK, and I'm Googling it. It's happened, I think, in the US as well. But the children, actually, one kid solved his own murder from a previous life. So the kid came back and he was hit in the head with an axe. And then, so that kid died. Then that spirit is reborn, and this child has a red mark on their forehead, like almost like where he was hit with the axe. And
Wow.
so now the new kid is 3 years old, and somehow he's already erudite and speaking, and he's like 3 or 4 years old, and he's leading the police to where his killer lives, and even where the murder weapon was hiding, and where the body was buried. So, like a young child solved the murder that was unsolved years prior, and the killer confessed. When it happened, the killer started crying, like, "I'm so sorry. Yeah, that was me." So that's like a really harrowing case that's like defies human explanation. But the Children of Previous Lives book with the African kids, they're also reaching about speaking age 4 or 5, and they're telling their mom and dad, "I remember a previous life. I was in this village 10 kilometers away." This is all just an example, but I died. I got eaten by an alligator, and my mom's name is this. My dad does that for a living, and I had two sisters that survived me. And the parents of the child in the current life are saying, blah, blah, blah. Either our kid is crazy or we have to walk a few kilometers and go investigate this. Now, a skeptic like us in a first world country, we might say, "Oh, the kid's really clever. And, they're getting on Facebook and they're finding a family and they're looking up all the details and they're just punking their mom and dad, like really a prank on their family or something." There's no Wi-Fi, there's no iPad, it's a dirt floor, it's Africa. So yeah, you gotta realize, the third world, they don't live like we do, and we're very fortunate for that reason. But anyways, They go investigate. The parents go to the other town and it all checks out. And it wasn't one story, it was dozens of stories like this, and maybe even hundreds of stories. So when it happens that often, it's more than just anecdotal. It's like it's now been scientifically proven via sociological means. So it's
So
proven.
true. I've heard a lot of it myself. I think Turkey is a country where a lot of investigation went into this particular topic. People have gone to their previous, like a kid would go to his previous wife, and for some reason, and they come up with all this stuff, and they always wondered, where did you hide the will? And it's like, oh, it's under that board in the kitchen floor. You have to, and sure
That's
enough,
another
there it
one
was. So I
that
mean,
happened too.
there is no other explanation. And
Can
then
I
some people actually have memories of their past lives. So yeah, I there's no reason why reincarnation does. It makes sense to me just logically, and pretty much every spiritual tradition has accepted it, except for the corrupted aspects of some religions that kind of wiped it out to control the population. But Christianity, even Christianity, once upon a time, you know, taught about it. So
Yeah, I'd like to actually add on to that point is two things for any Christians watching. I grew up Christian too, but if you re-look at John chapter 3, where Nicodemus is talking with Jesus, it's very clear that they're having a conversation about this topic because Nicodemus was obviously afraid of being judged or made fun of or even gotten in trouble by his cohorts, the other Pharisees. So Nicodemus went to visit Jesus late at night, and he had plenty of time to pick Jesus's brain. And so they probably talked about a lot of topics, but clearly at one point, Jesus talks about the idea of being born again, and Nicodemus says, how do I go back into my mother's belly a second time? Presupposing that they are talking about reincarnation. Because if Jesus wanted to answer that with modern day ethos that you get in the church, Jesus would have said, okay, Nicodemus, bow your head. I'm going to lead you in a prayer to invite me to live inside of your chest cavity. And that's not what Nicodemus and Jesus did right there. They didn't do a little sinner's prayer. They literally were talking about going into the belly a second time. Oh, Nicodemus was, Christian might say, he was just clueless and he didn't know what he was talking about. Well, inviting Jesus to live through you and in you is all well and good. But you also have, so if you don't believe the Nicodemus thing, you also have Elijah the prophet being reincarnated as John the Baptist. That's, I think, Matthew chapter 17, where the disciples figure it out. Oh, and even Jesus asked the disciples, who do you say I am? And one of the disciples said, well, some people think you're a reincarnated Elijah the prophet. And so the reincarnation was a real thing in their ideology back then, and it still exists. And some people are just going to find out the hard way when they die. And I don't care. If you don't want to believe it, I don't care. I didn't believe it until I saw the science. And now it's like, you're stupid. If someone shows you the science and you're not even willing to look at the book, I'm sorry, but you're closed-minded, and it's honestly, you're stifling yourself from greater wisdom if you're not even willing to look at the evidence. So that's how I see it.
have any of the people that you've interviewed talked about uh, they were actually aliens from another planet that came here to assist in a physical body or something like that, where they when they were met by their whoever they came from,
I
or
haven't
is it
gotten anyone like that yet. No, no one that believed they were an alien in a previous life. Nothing like that yet. That would be actually maybe too woo-woo for even me. But people do say they see aliens. So there's a mantis being. It looks like I guess, a hybrid between a praying mantis and a human being, but they're very like logical and extremely intelligent. A lot of the alien life appears as a light being, a being of just radiant light. Sometimes that radiant light turns into an ancestor or a family member they recognize. Sometimes it just remains a light being. So I'm a little fuzzy on the whole alien topic, but none of my guests have claimed to be aliens. One of them, sometimes people get their previous lives mixed up. I think there's some charlatans probably in the hypnosis space or the past life regression space. There are. There's going to be out there some like there's bad plumbers, there's bad
sure?
carpenters. Of course, there's going to be bad palm readers or whatever. But like, yeah, one lady thought she was a business tycoon for with Warner Brothers or something, and they did a deal and bought all the Looney Tunes cartoons. And I already felt in my gut when I was interviewing her, something doesn't sound right. Like my discernment was kicking in. So after the interview, when I was doing the video editing, I Googled it or Grokked it. I only use Grok really now. And Grok's like, no, there's no record of a business deal happening like that between Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, and a business magnate. There's nothing like that. So I was like, okay, so I just cut that out of the interview because I didn't want her to look totally kooky,
Her
but
Looney
she was
Tunes.
somehow convinced it happened. So yeah, you got to watch out with that stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's easy to embellish. I mean, this is all kind of nebulous in the first place when you it's outside of your actual physical memory, and you can probably easily insert desires and wishes and delusions and deceptions or whatever into the fabric of those memories. So, I mean, I'm sure none of this would be admissible in a court of law for like, oh,
Rarely.
like the kid solving the murder for the other guy. It's like I don't think he would
Yeah.
make a good witness in court for obvious reasons because you can't prove it, even though it's very compelling to believe this kind of stuff. So there is that danger, or this could obviously be abused if it was taken legally serious, at least.
Yeah. Typically the psychic medium will be working hand in hand with the forensic investigator, like the cold case people, and they'll help them crack the case. And then that evidence is what gets used in court.
But I would imagine
And
that
that's a real thing.
the main point of it is for the person to find closure. Is that's the most important thing, and
Yeah, remote viewing. Yeah.
and the thing about the life, the returning after a near death experience or a death experience where you come back is getting more of a sense of the karmic thing is real, and you will have to answer for everything you put out in this physical form, which I assume is why we're here in the first place. I've always viewed this whole experience as like a land of temptation where we're being tested on our spiritual fortitude and see if we, because obviously it's much easier in this realm that we live in to to be evil. And
Oh, big time.
you get rewarded much more for being evil. Just look at the power structures of the world. So it's always much easier to kill somebody and take everything they own than it is to earn it yourself. So it's like,
I think it's getting a little harder in our day and age. Everybody's got a cell phone camera. So it's like, are you sure you want to commit that crime right now? Because I'm videotaping. But like, if
well,
I could say
it's also creating more sophisticated scammers like the one you experienced. Uh,
exactly.
I've heard some amazing tales with AI scammers lately. So it's like to the point now where, oh my God, you can't really trust anything that you want. You really got to up your game with your discernment and awareness factor because there's so many things out there that are just ready to prey on you like like the alien.
Yeah. If I can say something about what you were, our topic just 2 minutes ago is, you're mentioning like we're getting into remote viewing and solving crimes with psychic abilities. Obviously, I wouldn't just trust anyone that says they're a psychic medium, but also is this especially for a Christian viewing audience or anyone skeptical about look at what Jesus did. He did not just come here to teach us good moral lessons and hope that everything would be all hunky dory. He not only came to teach us, but he said that we would do the things that he did and even greater things. So this is one of my criticisms of the modern Christian churches. I rarely see anyone get healed. Rather, they're just going to go to the doctor and get more deadly, debilitating pharmaceutical drugs, and then they wonder why they're dying of cancer. Oh, pray for me. I'm dying. We're going to pray for so and so. They're dying of cancer. Well, wait a minute. Don't you have the power to heal according to Jesus Christ? Or are you a watered down, weak, namby-pamby, sorry to say it, but a loser of a Christian church? If you're not healing people and doing miracles, you're not fulfilling what Jesus said. And I don't mean to be mean, but he came to teach us that we can do what he does. So wait a minute now. Who is doing psychic stuff? Some of these NDEers that are coming back, some of them have clairvoyance, like Danny and Brinkley. I've got his book right up here. He's got. I'm hoping to interview. Whoops. hoping to interview Danny in really soon. I'm on his third book in the series called The Secrets of the Light, where he really drops some knowledge bombs.
Yeah,
Um,
he had like several of these experiences, I believe.
Big three NDEs now. His first one was the gnarliest. So it's not one of my stories, but him being on the phone and the lightning striking the hotel room and it going up the phone cable line and then zapping him. That's one of the gnarliest ones I've ever heard of. So I hope to interview him. But he's in high demand. But he could actually see 5 to 10 minutes into the future after he came back. So everybody wanted to be his friend for like betting on the horse races and football games and stuff. And he just found out, like you said earlier, everyone's so evil. He just found out people are liars because he could read their thoughts and he could see into the future. And he'd say, if we win this horse race, which we will, you have to give half the money to charity. And everyone would say, oh yeah, sure, I'll definitely give the money to charity. Like only like two out of like 100 people ever actually kept their word. Everyone made an excuse. Oh, I need the money more than the charity, blah, blah, blah. So people are just deceptive, and he could actually knew they were lying to him while they were talking. It's fascinating. So if Jesus could
Wow.
also read minds, Jesus read the minds of the Pharisees, and we're supposed to do greater things. Why the hell are we not doing greater things? And like it's not like I'm saying you're not a Christian, but maybe you need to be a closer follower and doer of what Jesus said and less of a Christian. Maybe Christians don't have it all figured out and they think they do. And the dogma is actually what's holding you back from a more spiritual life and walking on the water or multiplying the food. Like this, it actually it used to piss me off. Now I try to be more gentle when I talk about it.
Yeah, I went through that too. I've gone through all this, like, why? Because I grew up, in Catholic upbringing and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, you get to the point, if you think too much, you start going, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And eventually you go, yeah, why aren't they doing what Jesus actually taught? It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It does not compute.
Can I
So,
make one more? Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Are you able to edit if I get a quick water?
Yeah.
Okay, you can edit. Okay, just give me 1 second. 15 seconds.
Adam is getting a quick water. So,
Here we go.
he has a YouTube channel. It's called what is it called?
My spirit lives on.
My Spirit Lives On. So it looks like you also talk to people with remote viewing uh,
Oh yeah, that's one of the.
capabilities. That's not the same, but in a way, it's
It's a
removing
psychic
your.
ability for sure.
It's. I mean, I don't know how this is all connected. It must be connected somehow. But how many videos have you done on that as opposed to the near death experiences?
Oh, a good question. I've only interviewed Carol Vance, who he helped recover bodies of children in the Texas floods from the girls' camp last year. So he does that. And we had like just less than an hour conversation. And I tested him while we were live or not live, but we're on the recorded Zoom. And I should have thought more about this because I have a lot of artwork around my house, but there was like something right in front of my laptop. And I said, can you guess what's on the plaque right in front of my laptop or the artwork or whatever? And he does it. He like spent like 3 minutes and he's like, I'm seeing like a nature thing. And he actually was like looking at a map of the desert out here, which was a little bit beyond the thing I was thinking of. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't specify. But the point is remote viewing is also empirically verifiable. So there's the Foresight Institute, and people will just go into a room, close their eyes, and they test on this. They get a score. And so you just like picking objects in a room on the other side of the wall or the part of picking objects on the other part of the building, and it's like, oh, there's a red ball on the shelf, there's a blue stuffed toy animal, blah blah blah, and then there's a woman named Elizabeth April who's trending right now. She got 20 out of 20. She got a perfect score.
Wow.
So, like, you can just test this stuff. It's a
Expert
psychic
level.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and it's
definitely a
like,
real thing. You know, if the CIA has been using it for decades, that it's it's definitely a real thing.
yeah, it can be used for good or for bad. And I mean, just the fact that we can do it is what blows my mind.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I just think if we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience, let's tap into that unseen stuff, you know? Like it's great to sing songs at church, it's great to eat the donuts and drink the coffee and meet some people and get social support, but for goodness sake, like the world's a dark place right now. And if you could, have clairvoyance and you could figure out if someone's shaking their hand that they're not trustworthy and they're going to try to scam you, oh, I don't need to cast my pearls of swine. I'm not going to do business with that person, you know? Like that would be a gift you would want to have.
For
And I
sure.
think my personal opinion is we get so weighed down with the temporal, we get weighed down with addictions, things that hold us back from being spiritually clear. We don't want to do fasting. I don't like fasting, but my friend Josh that did the pancakes, he just did like a 9-day fast. And then he was actually praying for one of our other friends, Joby Weeks. Joby Weeks is a Bitcoiner guy, and somehow the feds got him in trouble, and Joby was on house arrest for 7 years with no trial.
Wow.
And there was a campaign trending on social media like free Joby, free Joby. And Josh was like, I'm gonna fast like as long as I can. And then sure enough, at the end of Josh's 9-day fast, like Joby got free from his legal kerfuffle or whatever. But yeah, there's just power in all this stuff, and we should be tapping into it. Less time on social media is one of the big life lessons somebody brought back from heaven. Obviously, do unto others as you have them do unto you. Be authentic. I just wrapped up my episode with Vinnie Tolman. He's testified his story almost 300 times, but he came up with 10 principles. So if you're looking for answers to life and the afterlife, it's out there. And I encourage everyone to take notes. Life is a
So,
classroom.
you said that Damian Brinkley, for example, when he came back, he had the psychic abilities. For a short time after he came back, did they fade away, or does he still retain
Ooh,
those? And
I think he still has it to some extent. I think I haven't personally spoken to him yet, but I have a friend of a friend, Tim Kushner, knows Danian, and so Tim's going to hopefully get us on a three-way Zoom one of these days. But he writes about it in his book. Have definitely having it immediately. He had it so strong that he's betting on the horse races and winning money, and then he'd walk into a room and he couldn't turn it off. He couldn't turn off his ability. So your brain is like an antenna, and you can literally think a thought to someone else. I'll tell you one more crazy story, true story, really quick. Back in my Hollywood days, we made an independent film. Me and my friends, we made a film called TV the Movie. We put it out in 2008 by Rapscallion Films, and that's different from TV the Movie, same title by the Jackass guys, the guys that punk each other and play
yeah,
pranks. They also
I've
did a
seen
TV the
those.
Movie. So there's two TV the movies. Anyways, we won a Best Comedy Award, Nationwide Film Festival, and we thought we were hot stuff. And we're having our after party when we finish the film, and I'm drinking alcohol. And for some reason, my confidence level was through the roof. When you're vibing mentally, there's no question about it. Like you can walk on the water, you can do these miracles. Because for some reason, and this is the first time it's ever happened to me, but I'm at the party and there's two ladies, Shanti and Gwen, and we're drinking alcohol. And for some reason, I'm kicking up in a lazy chair, and I just believe I can do a magic trick. And I tell Gwen, whisper in Shanti's ear, an animal and a color, and I'll tell you what it is. As I'm suggesting this to her, I'm thinking green zebra as I look in her eyes. I'm thinking green zebra. And I did what's called thought implantation. So she whispers in Shanti's ear. They both look back at me and I go, green zebra. And they go, what? Like, how did you do that? So, and I don't even know like how I did it. I was just a little bit drunk and I was full of confidence. And somehow I did a magic trick.
Wow.
So
Uh,
like this is real stuff.
so does everybody you interview say they came back with some kind of enhanced senses or gifts or abilities or something like that, or is
No,
that more rare than it is?
I'd say it's more rare. I've only done about 40 interviews so far, and there's over 1,000 testimonies out there. If you talk to IANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies, IANS, there's like thousands. It's estimated now 1 out of 25 people that you ever meet have had an NDE. So it's actually not even an awkward
Wow,
question to ask when you're
really
meeting
that many?
somebody. I think
I,
1 out of 25
that
is
was
the
going to be
answer.
my next question: is how many people are known to have had this? That's 1 out of 25. That's crazy. That's like millions and millions and millions.
Well, one thing I should say is you don't have to have an NDE to learn these life lessons or get a special ability. Maybe it would help, but I'm not encouraging anybody to try to have one. Like there's that movie Flatliners a while ago with what's his name, the actor that died from the blonde actor. Anyways, there's Flatliners where people are trying to facilitate death and then coming back. So I can't recommend that because that'll get your YouTube channel in trouble. And I'm not trying to recommend that. But the point is, a lot of these NDEs come back and they say you don't need to have an NDE. In fact, I don't wish that for you. But you can tap this stuff, talk to someone who's already doing it. That's kind of why I want to interview Danny, and as I'm literally craving like these miracle powers, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I believe Jesus said you're supposed to do it.
So
So it's like,
do people say that they think they died because they needed to be shaken up? That just normal signs, the spiritual world. You know how the spiritual world interacts with us in subtle ways, and there's something on the other side telling you don't do that, or maybe you need to do
yeah.
that. And if you're in tune with that, and you heed it, it feels right. Whereas they just don't, and then they have to. It's like, okay, wake up, and they have to go through this. Is that kind of
Dr. Sunshine Frost or Reverend Sunshine Frost. She was one of the first people I interviewed. Really sweet woman. So yes, something like that happened with her where she was like 17 or 18. Some guys wanted to get laid, and so Sunshine and one of her lady friends, some woman she barely knew, they all took a hotel room. And they're drinking and partying, and she sniffed something up her nose, and she thought she was going to die. Goes to the bathtub, but before earlier that day, like she had burned her arm on a curling iron, and she like missed a bus or something, got stuck in traffic, and when she left her body, her spirit guides were like, "Hey, we were trying to slow you down. You burned your arm with the thing, you missed the bus or whatever." So the spirit guides were basically like we tried to help you, and now she gets this deep understanding of the soul contracts, which is another commonality. And the soul contract is when you're planning your life here. This is actually going to be comforting for some people and upsetting for other people that have a hard time believing it. But even the major negative things, or like a fight with somebody, not that you should go out and cause problems or get fights, because that gets back to the golden rule. But you're in a soul contract, and like Dr. Sunshine Frost said, she saw all these things where like, oh, there's a time when I'm going to help the lady in front of me at the grocery store with just $5 to pay for her groceries. We're agreeing to that in spirit before we come to the body. And that even correlates to the book of Jeremiah, I think it is, where God says, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. So God knew who we were before we were born, and we knew God. So we were there. We were there in spirit. And I gotta emphasize, like, don't be such a literalist when it comes to religion and things you've been taught. Like, you keep an open mind, because some it's a one, like you said at the beginning, Mike, it's something we're all gonna have in common. So why not start learning about it now? And then if something doesn't resonate, put it on the back burner. If something does resonate, then maybe run with that.
nice? I think we've been on over an hour now, haven't we?
Pretty good time for an interview, yeah.
So, well, cool. Is there anything else you want to add and tell us?
Yes.
You have other projects too, so how can people contact you? How can people? Which
Then
other channels do you have, and do you still have your Airbnb?
Yeah, if somebody wants a great place to rest in the Wild West, my vacation rental business is libertyvacationrental.com. I'm currently running it alone, right, because of that breakup a few years ago. But I'm trying to find some good help. It's a really small town. So libertyvacationrental.com if you want a place to stay. Heck, I'll throw you a 10% discount. Mention Mike's show. And but the main thing is I'm doing a 1,000 subscriber push right now, because I'm just going full speed ahead with My Spirit Lives On. So there it is on the neon. If you would be so kind to just subscribe to the channel, share the video, find a good video and share it with someone whom you think needs to hear it. Yes, I intend to monetize someday. The bills don't pay themselves. and I'm working for free. So, but when I do monetize, I'm going to keep a very minimal amount of advertisements because I know those get annoying. But just following the YouTube channel would be amazing.
Nice. And you have another channel, right?
Desert Hustle, but it's really on the back burner. I'm going full speed ahead with NDEs, and I was getting into the frequencies, the sound healing frequencies. Like that's kind of fun to do.
Nice.
Do you do any music? You play
I was
guitar?
looking into interviewing somebody about that myself because that's really the wave of the future. Say again. What would you just ask?
Oh, I was asking you if you do any music yourself, like play guitar or anything.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a musician.
So you get it. But
I
like
do.
just falling asleep with the headphones on, if I'm having a stressed out day, it's the 528 hertz that I like to do, or I'm getting into deep delta. So there's something called Deep Delta 2 on the Resonance Reality YouTube channel. That one is so good. It's an 18-minute power nap, but I use it to fall asleep in like 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
just it's powerful stuff. Yeah.
I always say music is my drug of choice because I don't do drugs or any
Yeah.
of that other
Yeah.
stuff.
Or you could say, or it's like a weapon too. You can like One Love with Bob Marley. Like he was threatening people with playing music about love. It's like
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
weapon. The
Well,
enemy doesn't like feeling good,
no,
good
they
stuff.
certainly
So
don't. That is a weapon of my choice. It's like the ultimate pacifist way of winning the war. So, well, hey, Adam, thank you so much for the
yeah,
all this testimony about this fascinating subject. It's something I've been interested in for a long time myself, but never taken it to the level that you have by creating a whole channel and interviewing all these people. It's truly fascinating. So I wish you well on the future of that channel, and maybe you'll come again and join me again one of these days and give me an update on your channel once it gets a little bigger.
be happy to. I'd be happy
Nice.
to. Thanks again, Mike. Namaste.
Namaste, brother. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me on another episode of High Vibe Tribe TV. Please like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one. Have a wonderful day and a more pleasant tomorrow.